not touching in the back yet against the foam, just up against the firewall. And I'll go ahead and drop it down, keeping a fairly amount of forward force, get it up against that firewall. And then I'll go ahead and put a bead down all three sides again. Boom, boom. Go ahead and squirt that. Everything's staying straight. We'll go put a little bit where the balsa and the plywood meet here, let it soak in. And do the same on the other side. Now what we're going to do is, in this packet here, we've got your control horns, push rod supports, and landing gear support. We're going to have 10 of these 1-inch 070 solid carbon, and 4 of them are going to be for the ailerons, and 6 of them are going to be to pin the firewall, which we're going to do now. So we'll make sure there's 10 here. 4, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we're going to take 6 of them. It leaves us with the 4 for the ailerons. We'll set those back aside. And what we're going to need to do is take a sanding block, and you're going to have to do this with a lot of the carbon ends. You just want to take off any burrs and put a little bit of a sharp point on one end. I want you to, this carbon here is 070. I'm going to measure it with the mic here. It says it's an 068 and a half, 069. It's a little under 07. Find a drill bit that's just right at or one size above the 070. So this is my number bit set here. It's going to be a this is a number 50. And I want you to set the depth on this to be exactly 1 inch. Use your little carbon guy. Just make sure you don't drill too deep. And set it right at the same depth as your carbon there. Now we're going to drill through the firewall. We can do 6. You'd probably get away with 4, 2 on each side. And we're just going to drill through the firewall into that plywood, or into the balsa, I should say. One on each end, one in the middle. There we go, they drop in there real easy now. Perfect. And for this, because it's plywood to balsa wood, I'm going to go ahead and use regular foam, or regular CA, not non-foam safe stuff here. This non-foam safe glue is a little bit stronger. And I'm just going to go ahead and put about 3 or 4 drops in each hole and let them soak in. Use a hammer to tap them on in there. Be fast about it, the glue's drying. You could probably use toothpicks in lieu of this too, the carbon blocks. Doesn't get much stronger than that. And wipe off any of the excess glue. There's the fuselage framed up there. Now I'm going to go ahead and tack this elevator into place. Normally you glue these on after the wings are on, but in this case, because we don't have the balsa tri-stock I use on my other models, we can go ahead and tack it into place. You see a little slot on the front of the stab, fits in the slot here. So go ahead and slide it home. We're going to look to make sure that the bottom of the fuselage lines up with the center of the V of that stab. That's going to make sure we're straight in this direction. And then for this direction, we'll wait till we got the wings on to make sure it's not cockeyed this way. But we can tack it for now. And we'll go ahead and tack it from the bottom. Put that regular CA, put it away. You don't want it anywhere near the foam safe. I always put the cap on that and set it far away. I don't use it on the foam. It will melt it. There's 3 little tacks on this. On one side, we'll do 3 tacks on the other. Really, and that's good enough for now. Next step, I'm going to go ahead and cut the little tabs on this ply set and separate all the little tabs and get all these pieces out of here. Again, I'm going to use my dull knife on this one. What I've done here for the standoffs, just kind of run down the whole thing. You don't have to go all the way through. In fact, I recommend you don't try to go all the way through. Run it a couple times. On this side, do all of them. Some of them come out, but if it doesn't, no fret. And flip it over and do the same on the other side. Sometimes if you try to cut all the way through on one side, the plywood will splinter a bit. One of these horns we're going to have to take a Dremel or drill, and I use an 1/8 inch Dremel bit. And we're going to have to cut this little clearing in for the elevator. It's right in that area there. I've darkened it up there. You have to kind of drill that out. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up all the push rods for the elevator and rudder for sure, and we can also start the ailerons. First step in that would be to take your 3 pieces of heat shrink tubing here, and I want you to cut them all into 1-inch lengths. Now we're going to again get out the regular CA, the non-foam safe. We're going to take out the 2 20-inch 070 push rods, and there's also 2 070 by 2-inch push rods. These will be for the ailerons. We're also going to need our 4 of our Z-bends. Those are little 1-inch pieces of spring steel here and a wire. And it's important with these to take some sandpaper and roughen up the steel just a little bit. Just give it a couple scratches, and then clean it off with alcohol, or I like to use lighter fluid. It seems to work really good. But the steel can have oils on it from the factory, and to keep it from rusting. And of course the oil doesn't like to stick to the CA. I'm going to slide the heat shrink tubing over the push rod. Put just a little bit. It doesn't take a whole lot of CA here. Have your shrinker available, whether you use a torch or I use a lighter. And I set my steel in there, kind of get the glue all spread around, slide the shrink tubing over it, and I want you to leave about 7 millimeters